Spirit Airlines is gone. I am not okay. After more than 30 years in the skies, yellow planes have been grounded and flown to deserts for storage. Thousands of people have lost their jobs, not to mention all of the travelers who were stranded at airports. To me, it feels like the end of an era. Today, I'm talking about the rise and fall of my favorite airline. I'm going to miss them so, Spirit. On May 2, 2026, the biggest aviation collapse in a generation, it happened quickly, swiftly, overnight. Spirit Airlines completely shut down all operations, canceled every single flight, and officially went out of business. Quickly, I want to share with you Spirit's business model. Spirit pioneered the ULCCs. This is the ultra low cost carrier model. Frontier has it too. That's another video. All right, the strategy was simple. Sell a dirt cheap base ticket, sometimes for just $30, and charge separately for everything else. Carry-on bags, a cup of water, you name it, pay extra. For years, it worked beautifully because they maintained a massive price gap between themselves and the big three, Delta, American, and United. But then those major airlines fought back. What did they introduce to travelers? Basic economy. Suddenly, you could fly a premier airline with free entertainment and better service for nearly the exact same price range as a Spirit ticket, once you added in Spirit's baggage fees for those of you who do not travel with a personal item and had to check in bags. Spirit's core competitive advantage evaporated. They hadn't turned a profit since the pandemic. They ended up with over $2.5 billion in losses. You know, because they have gone down under, does that mean that this is the end for the ULCCs? I don't know. I don't really see anybody flying. I mean, I do think some people are flying Frontier. We'll get there. Spirit made travel accessible for people who usually or normally could not afford to fly. I'm talking about those random flights to Miami under $50. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Cheap Caribbean getaways, last minute birthday trips. Without Spirit, I really would not have much content for you guys that I shared on my channel. The Haiti series, that was Spirit. Colombia, I flew Spirit. I've flown Spirit to Jamaica, Miami. I mean, the list goes on and on. Oh yeah, I forgot. Trips to Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cancun, Las Vegas, Fort Lauderdale. Quick weekend escapes. Now that I'm talking to you, how am I going to get to those places again if I want to return and celebrate 1,000 subs? Hey. Because those destinations were crucial to my channel's success. I believe that, y'all. I don't know. I'm going to just have to say a prayer and take American. I don't know. I'm sure you can let me know in the comments where you were able to fly because of Spirit or due to Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines, their model, it was never geared towards luxury travel. Nobody was boarding Spirit expecting, you know, Qatar Air, Korea Air, Emirates. Like, we knew what we was getting. People flew Spirit because they was trying to get from point A to point B for an affordable price. That's it, the end. I know so many people who took trips they never would have taken without budget airlines. Now, I have to get into the internet because the internet, I don't know, they just played a part in all of this. And to some people it was funny, others I just think it was distasteful. Whether people want to admit it or not, Spirit forced the entire airline industry to lower prices. Now that they're gone, who is stuck paying higher prices? The customer, the passenger. Internet culture, the yellow planes, the memes. You fly Spirit, you gonna become a Spirit. Like, y'all, the survival stories, right? I made plenty of videos where I said Spirit Airlines had never had a crash on TikTok. One of my largest videos is like 175K. People were laughing at me because of my delivery, but I was telling them why you can still fly Spirit Airlines. The girl, it was a Stitch. She was saying how she's never flying Spirit again because she looked out of the window and saw that they were repairing part of the plane with airplane tape. And I was explaining about the tape. However, there were some editing mistakes, so the internet roasted me. People were posting things like Spirit charged me $40 to cry. Spirit flights, it feels like the Greyhound bus of the skies. Spirit is the only airline where turbulence feels personal. The jokes about bag fees once they went down came back immediately because if you've ever flown Spirit, you know everything was extra. Carry-on bag extra, seat selection, pay extra, breathing near the boarding gate. I mean, they don't charge for breathing, but honey, the internet has always had, at least what it seems to me, a weird relationship with Spirit. People constantly, to this day, complain about them. But you know what? A lot of people were flying them too. Everybody was still booking flights. At the end of the day, travelers like cheap flights. Everybody can admit it. Like, be real. And I do think that some of the criticism was exaggerated because at the end of the day, the problems that people blamed on Spirit is because those passengers did not read the fine print. And then when they got to the gate or they got to the check-in counter and were charged with fees, you know, they want to make a viral TikTok. They want to let the internet know that this airline is trash. No, honey, you didn't read before traveling. You have to read the fine print for baggage rules. Some people arrived late or expecting luxury service on a super low-cost airline. Like, you're not going to get Delta treatment on Spirit. Like, it never made sense. Spirit said, we'll get you there cheap. Everything else is your responsibility. Take it or leave it. Millions of people accepted that deal, y'all. I also forgot to share with you that when things did go wrong, the airline rectified it. I remember the time my flight in Cancun, it was canceled to return to the US. What did Spirit do? Did they leave me stranded at the terminal in Mexico? No, they put me in a resort. I was already in Cancun. Why not stay there for another night? I had food covered, transportation. I didn't have to pay a dime. But y'all want to talk about Spirit. Spirit did that for me. But while people were laughing and making fun to this situation, we do need to get serious, though. Over 17,000 employees were affected by the shutdown. Pilots, gate agents, flight attendants, maintenance crews, customer service workers. People who built their entire careers around this airline found themselves unemployed. While some people were making jokes on the internet, others were literally trying to survive. Can you imagine you've worked with a company for years and then overnight, gone, finished? I mean, I'm showing you here the website of Spirit. It's now, gone. There's nothing. Imagine what that feels like. According to online discussion, a former Spirit employee who had just lost her job, she had allegedly reached out to James Charles. I feel like he's one of the most problematic influencers of all time. And she was asking him to share her GoFundMe link. James decided to mock or dismiss the situation, leading to major backlash, and social media exploded. This all became a bigger conversation about empathy, the human side of things. These people are jobless and we're up here making memes. It's distasteful, my friends. A lot of people online forgot that and honestly didn't care. I've known and seen some people in my comments was like, great, I've never flew Spirit. Okay, that's you. This is a major hit to the industry. You are not better because you've never flown them. Like, I don't get it. Now, where it really got weird, y'all, was the let's buy Spirit movement. Because what do you mean we're going to take over and buy an airline? Hold on. I got to find it. This guy named Hunter, he was actually getting people to crowdfund money, or at least they were committing to pledging enough money so that they could buy Spirit. And it started gaining traction. Voice actor and TikTok creator Hunter Peterson, he launched a campaign encouraging ordinary Americans to save the airline and potentially operate it cooperatively. And, let's say what it is, white male privilege, the internet rallied behind it. People were posting videos, making memes, discussing about how large their pledges were going to be. And I was just watching in silence because I was like, what is going on here, y'all? Sharing emotional stories about budget travel. The campaign allegedly raised millions in pledges and created massive online attention. It felt like one of those moments that could only happen online. They were treating Spirit like an underdog sports team. I was like, where were y'all years before when the entire internet, it seemed to be roasting them? Like, y'all want to save it now? But how does Ray say? Until controversy arise. Hunter faced major criticism after reports spread that he had chosen a controversial MAGA-associated figure, Yeah, you heard me. To help structure the buyout strategy and business planning. Again, social media, you know they're going to turn on you. People were like, They withdrew support. Followers accused him of misleading the movement. Arguments exploded across X, I like to call it Twitter, TikTok. And I mean, today, I was like, hey, whatever happened to that crowdfunding situation? Oblivion, my friends. The entire thing became a perfect example of how quickly internet culture shifts. One minute, somebody is a hero. The next minute, you're out of there. And the idea of the public buying spirit, it absolutely collapsed. The bottom line is, my friends, I think that it is really great to try to save the day. It was a bizarre movement, but you can't pay off billions in corporate debt. I mean, and that just is what it is. I do want to quickly talk about the political blame here. I bet you're wondering, how did a major airline with hundreds of planes just vanish like that? Spirit was looking for an escape hatch. This did not happen all out of a sudden. In 2022, JetBlue, some of you might remember, they agreed to buy Spirit for $3.8 billion. This merger was going to be Spirit's lifeline. JetBlue was going to absorb the yellow planes, and they were going to paint them blue and take on Spirit's debts. But in 2024, the Department of Justice stepped in. They sued to block the deal on antitrust grounds. They argued that losing Spirit would harm budget-conscious travelers by eliminating the country's biggest discount competitor. A federal judge agreed and killed the merger. It was a massive victory for regulators. But for Spirit, I mean, you could say it was a death sentence. This was 2024. The political fallout from the decision was immediate. It came from both sides. Critics of the administration, they slammed the decision. They were arguing that the government overregulation directly killed a struggling business. Defenders of the bloc blamed corporate greed, pointing out that JetBlue intended to raise Spirit's famously low prices all along. Spirit was forced to ground dozens of their new planes due to global manufacturing defects in their engines, the Pratt & Whitney. Spirit was paying massive leases on planes they could not fly. And the financial bleeding got so severe, Spirit did something almost unheard of in aviation history. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy twice in less than 2 years. That is serious. First in late 2024, and then again in August 2025. They tried to survive, but they was running out of time. And then the final nail in the coffin was earlier this year. Geopolitical tensions escalated into warfare involving Iran, causing the critical shipping lane of the Strait of Hormuz to close. And jet fuel prices doubled in a matter of weeks. For those of you who do not know, fuel is the largest expense for any airline. The legacy airlines are able to survive because they bought fuel contracts in advance at locked-in lower prices. Spirit did not have the cash reserves to do that. Remember, I told you about their previous financial trouble. Because their brand relied on ultra-low fares, they couldn't just double ticket prices overnight to cover the cost. Spirit's lawyers made a last-ditch effort. They were pleading with the White House for a $500 million emergency federal bailout to keep the airline. And there was another battle. I don't need to get into it all. One side was saying taxpayers shouldn't be forced to rescue a poorly managed corporation that was already failing. The other side was saying letting a major infrastructure piece fail was a failure of leadership that would destroy working class jobs. The cash reserves hit zero. The end result was that they shut down Saturday morning, May 2nd. The order was given to ground the fleet, shut down the websites, and go into liquidation. When you look at Spirit Airlines, yes, it could be messy, it could be chaotic, and it could be unpredictable, and also sometimes frustrating, but it got me to where I needed to go. I am at a loss. I don't know how I'm going to fly in the future. Thankfully, I was able to travel in the way that I do and cover as many cities within the country, except for Haiti. I only did OCAP. Jamaica, I did enough. Anyways, that's not the point. It gave people access to travel. Not everybody has $100 for a last-minute flight. Spirit created opportunities for regular people to see new places. Budget travel is a major pillar of my channel. And a lot of people who watch me, I do believe that they flew the airline. And I think a lot of people online forgot the human side of all of this happening. Now that Spirit is gone, they're going to be reminded, and they are going to notice flight prices increasing. It is because there is no longer a major ultra low cost competitor in the market. Frontier. If you have a crazy Spirit Airlines story, let me know in the comments. I do think that the end of Spirit Airlines, it is a massive blow to everyday consumers. There are no more bear fares. Major airlines no longer have to compete with rock bottom prices. What do you guys think? Did the government make a mistake by blocking the merger or denying the bailout? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. This is video 98. I have 2 more to 100, and we are close to 1K, y'all. Like, I am flying high. Not on Spirit. See you in the next video.